When we think about grief, we may think about someone that has passed away, which would be the most commonly associated form of grief that we know of. But grief can also be, if we think about it, a loss of something, a loss of a friendship. We may have had a very good friend and they have, for whatever reason, moved to a different town or moved to a different friend, and in the absence of what we knew, there is the loss, the what we were familiar with. So grief can show up in many different forms of our life, and some of it is acknowledged and some of it is unacknowledged. So let's do an EFT tapping for grieving of our childhood, because there can be many things within our childhood that we should have received, and in the absence of, we received a loss. So taking full responsibility for your own well-being and repeating after me. Let's go with that flow and let's begin to tap. Even though this childhood that I received, that I experienced, and that I am overcoming now, there are many challenges and many adverse experiences that I am healing and letting go of. And I choose to love, honor, and accept myself, even though I've stepped upon a healing journey and I'm unsure of what my destination is, or if there is a destination at all. And some days it feels like one step forward and two steps back. And I choose to love, honor, accept myself, even though I may be aware or unaware that I am grieving that of which I should have received the love and caring and nurturing within my childhood. And I choose to love, honor, and accept myself. I'm grieving a childhood. There is a loss, a feeling of despair, a feeling of loneliness, of what I should have received, and what I'm grieving at this stage. And there are many stages of grief. And I might feel anger, I might feel shock about what I received, and the awareness of that. There might be denial. This couldn't have happened. Maybe it was me. Maybe I was thinking wrong about the wrong that I received. Because if I can prove myself wrong, then maybe the hurt, maybe the abuse that I received may mean that I can have my family back of what I perceived it should be, or what I really want it to be, and what I'm being in this moment is a healing of the pain, the healing of the grief that I received in my childhood. All this guilt, all this feeling of guilt, all this being made to feel guilty, all this responsibility that I was made to carry. And I've carried this throughout my life. And I've attended to so many people's needs without my own being cared for or nurtured, or being attended to. Because I learned growing up It's better to keep my environment safe so that I can be safe. But within that, I lost my childhood and stayed more in a survival mode. I forgot how it feels to play, how it feels to be a kid, because I had to grin and bear it and not show these emotions that I've had to carry for so long. And this denial of self. Should I deny my childhood? Am I right to express my emotions? And these strengths that I'm building within myself requires a vulnerability of feeling these emotions that I was told by my environment were an inconvenience to others. And I'm not a hassle to myself. And my voice deserves to be heard. Because a lot of parts of myself that are crying out for attention. And I don't need to time out my attention, my needs and attention. I don't need to lock away those crying out needs. And how inconvenient my emotions may be, and how much that I want to push them down. I don't want to go into depression of all this emotional suppression. I want to feel into and release out. So I'm not an inconvenience to myself by going through this grief and grieving a childhood where I was allowed to be a child and not an adult. Parenting a parent and leaving myself in the process. And it's a process to grieve. And there are many stages. And these stages are not linear. And how I experience my emotions, how I feel my feelings, will not be on a convenient timescale. Not convenient to myself, and definitely not convenient to others. And when I think about my grief, allowance of my emotions, giving myself that time to heal and feel and be real within myself, allowing all those painful emotions to flow, no longer being weighed down by this grief that I carry, this loneliness, this absence of being, this absence of receiving, this crying out for attention, being attentive to my needs and to my feelings. And when all hope is lost, the mere fact that I love of myself, the mere fact that I feel this pain as that reminder of what I should have received. And I'm thinking of this pain and letting go of this pain. Because this hope has blood in its teeth and it's been fighting for so long. But it doesn't need to fight of myself. And this is not a battle that I need to win, nor a journey that I need to get a destination of. My meaning of life may have been struggling for hope. And that struggle may have been a survival of keeping my head above water whilst carrying this heavy weight of grief. And it may be time now, and if I'm willing, to let go of some old pain and live a life a bit more freely and give my life a new meaning that is not the definition of the pain that happened to me, but is not a part of me. And I can let go of this pain and not forget it. I can turn down the volume of this stress and still have that memory. So even though it's not a part of me, it's a reminder of what I don't want to be and how much I've healed from. And standing on top of a mountain, when you look around, it did take a journey up. There are plenty more mountains to climb, and I can do it without the weight of what I'm carrying of my past. So I'm giving myself a new meaning of life, of healing this grief, being aware of this grief, finding new strengths within myself, finding the strengths that were called weaknesses from people that viewed me as weak and inconvenient. I'm giving myself the time. I'm giving myself the patience to learn new patterns, to adjust to this loss, and to adjust to this new sense of self. And it may be one step forward and one step back, but I am taking that step upon this new meaning of life, of how I view myself and this life experience. And there are many journeys upon this life, and I can do it without the past weighing me down. I'm grieving this childhood in mind, body, and spirit. And taking a full breath in and out. And yes, EFT tapping is a very good way to release stress, and by releasing that means or implies that there was stress that was being held on to. And it also is advisable to seek out other forms of care as well. EFT tapping is a great way of relieving stress, but finding new ways to instill belief systems within ourselves, new teachers, it may mean psychology of finding new ways to repattern our ways of being without the stress, without the dysregulation that hinders our healing growth. So it's a way to perceive it, and also to grieve our childhood means that we are also giving ourselves a new chance of life. So beginning again, starting anew, starting afresh, starting as a child, learning and growing. So I'm Dion from Eflowtion Support Services for EFT Tapping one-on-one online. So check out eflowtionsupportservices.com. Until then, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.